Hello, and welcome to the Mike Guarneri podcast. Today is episode 19, and I have another Celtic practice for you to help relieve anxiety and depression. And this is the Celtic practice of learning by heart. Be 100% clear, I do not mean rote memorization. No rote memorization. It's learning by heart. It's the difference. Because we all know that rote memorization, it probably goes out of your head almost as quick as it went into your head. So we're talking about learning by heart. Celtic learning by heart is a practice that involves memorizing a piece of Celtic poetry, a prayer, you name it. Because remember, the Celtic society was an oral one until probably the late stages of their society. Very little, if anything, was written down. So everything had to be passed orally and memorized by the next person. He passed it to the next person, they had to memorize it. Differences now, at least, because not all, but any Celtic poetry, stories, whatever that survived are pretty much mostly written down now for us, which is a good thing. So the Celtic practice of learning by heart has a few pretty decent benefits. Obviously, I think it has a positive effect on mental health and well-being. Otherwise, I wouldn't be telling you about it. But the actual task, the activity of learning by heart helps to reduce stress and anxiety, helps forge a spiritual connection, believe it or not, to the words and ideas on the paper that you're trying to memorize. And honestly, right now it's easier to memorize off of paper. And it promotes feelings of peace and calm. All good things. Unless you pick something to memorize that you hate and absolutely detest, which you shouldn't do that. I don't recommend it. So also, Celtic learning by heart's also a form of a mental exercise, which is always good to have your mind exercise and work out that brain muscle. It helps improve memory and cognitive functioning. So, how are you going to do this? Well, this is what you're going to do if you want to test this out for yourself. You're going to choose a Celtic prayer, poem, story, or whatever that you're going to memorize. If you don't have anything that's Celtic, or you don't want to learn by heart something that is Celtic, you could pick anything that's meaningful to you, but make sure it's meaningful to you. That's the first thing. Then you want to read and memorize your selection, but do it in chunks. Maybe day one, memorize the first sentence. Day two, reinforce the first sentence and memorize the second sentence, and so on. By chunking it out, it's going to make it a little bit easier to memorize. And make sure you connect with the text you're reading, the symbolism and the meaning. And I'm not talking about our high school symbolism where what does the author mean other than the words he's actually saying? I mean the symbolism and meaning to you personally. That same text could have the symbolism and could have a different meaning to everybody. Each of us could have a different view of it or different connection to it. But it's important that whatever text you choose to memorize, that you do connect to it. Because by connecting to it, understanding it, memorizing it, it becomes part of you. And it can provide you with inspiration and maybe even some guidance, all along while giving you that peace and calm and helping subdue your anxiety and depression. Pretty neat, right? So that's the practice of Celtic learning by heart. And I've done this. I did it with one short Celtic poem, and I did it with a non-Celtic piece. And no, it was actually fun. It was kind of like a challenge. Okay, how much do I remember today from yesterday? And this is a really good practice. And once again, it's easy to do. So I wholeheartedly recommend it to you to give it a try. So just want to remind everybody, if you haven't done so already, please head over to MikeGuarneri.com and join my mailing list. That way you don't miss out on any of the cool things coming down the pike. So until next time, stay well.